Hey, Facebook people, those of you who are here to hear Adam Feuerberg, over here in this square over here.
Hi, everyone.
Yes, and all of my people, come on in and have a seat. It's not like a wedding. You can't pick sides. Just come in, sit close together.
Yeah.
Anything that has to do with me will not go viral. Promise you. Those days are long gone. Comic Spot was developed so this little Army veteran, I know, gangster granny, can vet out veterans of comedy. And today, do we have a veteran of comedy for you, Adam Feuerberg? Wait till you hear this intro.
Hi, everyone.
Hey, he's so friendly and nice. You have no idea. This guy is something else. Let me find his intro. Here we go. I like to read. Adam Feuerberg is a stand-up comic, probably a stand-up guy too, and television producer. He's performed in nightclubs all over the United States, and has worked on a variety of shows for networks such as MTV, CBS, HBO, E, and Logo. Adam also co-hosted The Jew and the Gentile and Daily Upper Decker podcasts, as well as a variety of live stand-up shows at a number of venues all around Los Angeles, holy Toledo. he is currently a producer on one of my favorite, the CBS game show, Let's Make a Deal. He plays the guitar, piano, and violin, and wrote a song to the theme song for his wife's podcast. Holy Toledo. Welcome, Adam Feuerberg.
Hi, Linda. Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. This is super fun.
Thank you for coming on. Who is Adam Feuerberg? Where did you grow up? How did you become funny? That kind of stuff.
I'm originally from El Paso, Texas, and moved to the Dallas-Fort Worth area when I was in high school. So I grew up in Texas until I was 18. And I'm the youngest of three kids, so I'm that's always like, just statistically speaking, I'm the funny one because I have to get everyone's attention all the time. That's it. I just had to keep everyone's attention, and what's the better way to do that than make someone laugh?
Absolutely. When you grew up, were your parents funny, or were they not really funny, and you like to break things up?
My dad was definitely a funny guy, always cracking jokes. He introduced me to Mel Brooks movies and showed me all kinds of. He was a big movie fan, so he showed me all kinds of stuff. That's probably why I'm in the entertainment industry, is probably because of him. And then my mom, she was obsessed with music. That was her thing. My parents both. My mom really wanted me to be in music, so she signed me up for music classes when I was a kid. So whether they liked it or not, they raised a little performer, and that's why I am who I am today.
That is so cool. When I was growing up, my parents had come over after Hitler, and they survived the Holocaust, and they were still stuck in the camps, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. My grandparents, I would describe them quite a bit. My dad's parents.
Yeah. And so I would try to get them to be in the moment by making them laugh. Do you remember some of your first jokes when you were a child?
I remember Friday night dinner was always a big thing in my family because of Shabbat dinner. That was like the one night where we all had to be together, even when my brother and sister were older. And we would put on, like, my brother and sister and I would put on like these little plays for our parents. I don't really remember what the premise was, but I always knew that I was there to come in at the end for the big joke. So that was a lot of fun for me. And that was when I first really remember like making a room full of people laugh. I was like 5 or 6 years old.
Yes, that's such a great memory. It gives me chills to hear it.
Yeah. It's like something out of a movie, but that's what happened. And of course, anytime there'd be like family over, it would just be a bigger audience. So that was always great.
Yes, the bigger the better.
Right.
So you grew up, and did you take acting, or did you do things that involve comedy in schools, or?
I went to funny enough, in El Paso, Texas, all 25 Jews there, for some reason, they started school. And so until 8th grade, when I moved to the Dallas area, I went to a Jewish day school every day. And plays were a big deal in that school. There was always a big play for all the students to be in at the end of every semester. There was one in the fall semester, and then one in the spring semester. And so that whether we liked it or not, we were put in those situations. And then music was a big deal in that school too, because Jews have to play music. So my parents sat me at a piano when I was 4, and they put me in violin classes when I was 5. And I was performing since I was a little kid for people, to varying degrees of wanting to participate. That's for sure. I don't know if I was so comfortable with it until I was older, but yeah, I definitely had a lot of experience with it.
So when in your life did you say, okay, I give up. I'm going to go make people laugh. I'm going to throw away everything my parents and grandparents think of doctors and lawyers.
That discussion actually came up when I went off to school. I wanted to study some kind of film or performance in college, and of course, my mom especially was like, no, just something more practical. But I ended up getting into the University of Miami's film program there, and so that's where I went to go do that. And I got really into the writing program, so that's what I wanted to do when I was out of school. And of course, when I moved to Los Angeles is when the writer's strike happened of like 2007, 2008, that time. Remember that? Yes. And so there were no writing jobs. And of course, that's what I moved here to do. So I met a couple of people randomly who were performing stand-up, and I went with them, and I met the producer, the booker there, and he started putting me up like not too long after, because I wanted to write. I didn't know necessarily if I wanted to perform, but I wanted to write, and this was at least a way for me to get whatever I wrote out there in some context.
How did it go? Like your first time, your first year?
The first time I blacked out. It was pretty rough. I don't actually remember anything I said. I remember I had probably a good 5 minutes. I don't know if it was good, but I had a 5 minutes ready to go. And then like the day of, I totally like quit on it. I totally was like, this is not good. This is awful. Basically, it's just like a glimpse of what the inside of my brain is all about. It's just me just saying, no, you suck all the time. But it was really bad that day. And my roommate, who helped me write some of those jokes, was like, all right, well, then let's just start fresh. And we ended up writing 5 minutes about, remember the viral video, 2 Girls, 1 Cup? Remember that disgusting, horrible video? If you don't know what it is, I'm not going to tell you because I'm too ashamed about what it is. It is maybe the grossest video you've ever seen.
Okay.
I wrote 5 minutes about that. And I would say that I'm ashamed of myself, but I don't remember what happened. I completely blacked out. So that's was my journey. And I would say the first really good set that I had, like one that I'm proud of, probably came like a month or 2 later. So at least I got some sense of bearings, even though I had no idea why anyone was laughing that time versus why they weren't laughing the other time. At least I had some semblance of success. So that was nice.
Nice. So you started in Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. You're still in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And what was the first club that you went up on stage
at? The first nightclub that I went up at, I don't know if it's still there. It's in Studio City, right off of Ventura, and I want to say Laurel Canyon, like that intersection right there. It's across the street from that Chase that looks like a church, like the Chase Bank that looks kind of like churchy or like a state building. Yeah. It was called Aura, Club Aura. The booker was a guy named TK, and I think if anyone in Los Angeles started in like the mid to late 2000s, you did a TK show at one point. And that's where I performed first. And I remember it was actually a really nice club. The one thing that I wish wasn't so was that the towering stage, and there's varying people. You ever been on like a stage where like you're sitting above head level when people are sitting? I always find that to be a little bit, I don't know. I'm not a comic. I feel more like a dictator at that point. I'm just shouting down to people. Yeah. But I like being more on like eye level. So like if I'm a step or 2 up, that's more my thing. But I remember the lights were so bright. I made a joke about, I have the tint in my glasses, like the transition lenses. I made a joke that it was turning on, and I got a laugh, and that was it. That was the only laugh I got the entire set. So that was the one good thing that I remember.
Oh my gosh. I started 6 years ago at age 63.
Oh, okay. You got plenty of time. This is great. Awesome. Yeah, I love it.
I got so much life behind me, but a little brain injury. And so it wasn't until the last 6 months that I came into my own and figured out really how to get laughs throughout.
That's
It's a
great.
long road.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you're going to keep going. As soon as all this nonsense is done, you'll be back on stage in no time. I'm
Yeah,
looking forward to that very much.
me too. So tell me about all of the networks you've been on, all
Hmm.
the things you've done. Go through them all. I want to hear how you got on and what you did, and how like how did that happen for you? That's so amazing. You got like a litany of places that you have worked and been employed with that are top-notch networks. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
yeah.
Bravo.
It's been
Yeah.
fun. It's been fun. I moved, like I said, when I moved here, there were no writing jobs in TV. So the only jobs that were around were in reality TV. And like that was literally it. And so a friend of mine got a job. He started out logging and transcribing tapes for reality shows. He's an editor. He eventually got promoted to an editing job. So when he moved on from the first one, he knew that they needed to hire somebody. He knew that I was looking for a job. So I ended up working there. And I did that for probably 3 years or so. And then my last year, my fourth year, I was at a company called World of Wonder, which they make reality shows. I think that their moneymaker when I first started there was the Tori Spelling reality show, the one that she made with her ex-husband. And so that was the show that I did for E. And then eventually I got moved on to the first season of a little show called RuPaul's Drag Race. I got to work on the very first season of that show. And I remember, it's known for its big personalities now. And like the stuff on stage obviously is real key. But I remember a note that they got the first season from the network was that the people who they hired to be on the show were so good and were so professional that they didn't have the personalities that clashed very well, like on like how people want fights, they want like interpersonal nonsense on a reality show, and they hired too many pros. Like they hired two people who were so good and just so like head down and do the job well that they didn't get the kind of bickering back and forth between a lot of the drag queens that they wanted. So I thought that was a very funny network note. And I ended up working. The last thing I did there. Kind of a promotion, but it was never really like in title because I still had the same. I was just like the head logging transcriber, but I was actually doing like what they call story assistance, which is like pulling story bits in post production to actually make the story that you want. I got to work on the HBO documentary about the Don't Ask, Don't Tell military policy.
Yes.
So that was really educational for me because that's the one thing World of Wonder does that's cool. They make all these reality shows, some hit, some miss, whatever, but they really make these things just in like a broad vacuum. And then the money that they make, they end up putting everything towards these documentaries that make no money for them, but are like really works of love. So that was a fun experience to see how that worked out.
Wow.
And be a part of.
What are a couple nuggets, since I'm a military veteran, a lot of
Mhm.
comedians are veterans. What is something that you learned, or a couple things that you took away that you had no idea were part of the Don't Ask, Don't Tell?
Let's see. The fact that I was surprised that, because I'm ignorant. I'm a cis straight white male. I have no idea what a lot of these things are. But for people in the military who at least were there before there was that Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy, and it was just like a ban on gay people versus the Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy, people who existed in both timeframes felt like the outright ban was actually easier to live under than the Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy. Because even though there was the Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy, it seemed to highlight it more. It seemed to bring it to more attention. And that was one thing that I found really interesting about that. And then like in a way, like, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. You wanted to make the world better, but then you ended up making it worse for some reason. And then the second thing was that I had to watch a lot of like World War II and Korean War era safety videos. And a lot of those safety videos included sexual health videos. So I saw a lot of real graphic black and white footage of people's sexually transmitted diseases. And it was real gnarly. And it was not what I knew I'd signed up for. And I definitely had to take a lot of breaks and miss my lunch a lot during that time. It was real. I couldn't believe it. It was super graphic. super graphic. So that was fun for me. That was real good. I never looked better, that's for sure. My core was in real good shape.
Yeah. So what are some things that you have like in the plans to do? Because I know as artists, we all have our hands in many buckets.
Mm-hmm.
So you recently headlined at Flappers Utopia in the green room.
Oh yeah.
Which is one of my favorite clubs I've never been to. I
Yeah,
get
it's
a
super
great
fun.
vibe from Flappers.
Yeah,
People
it's
that
a
are
super fun spot. That's actually when they first opened in 2010, I was hired to produce a show for them. So I worked for them for a couple of years, doing their Thursday show in the Yoo-Hoo room for a couple of years. And then from then on, I hosted a bunch of random shows for them. I've been pretty much a regular fixture at that spot since it opened. So I love that. I love that place very much.
I have a friend when my first week in comedy, I met Howard Aronin.
Oh, Howard's great. I love that guy. Yeah, he's awesome. He and I do a show, the cosplay comedy show. Have you heard? You are familiar with that one? The Kyle Crisis show,
Yeah.
and he does Super Mario, and it's always really funny. And
Yeah.
it's funny when you're asked about the Zoom shows. So I find, obviously telling your jokes to Zoom is fun and whatever, but I particularly feel like my experience with like specific themes. So like the cosplay thing with that, and everyone's in character, and the audience will be more attuned to the kind of inside jokes that a cartoon character will have. Or I did a Star Trek theme show a couple of weeks ago. That's the last Flappers one that I did. I didn't headline that one. I headlined the previous one. But because the jokes were so inside, everyone on that show knows Star Trek, that it elevates the material that much more, and it makes the show that much more fun for everybody. So I feel like Zoom is particularly good for like really well themed shows that are promoted that way.
I think you're right. That's a
Yeah.
great thought. So what other things do you have coming up? Like, are you planning on doing a one-man show, writing a book? Have you already done those? I just want to know what all you have planned in your life.
Well, let's see. Right now, in terms of like performing stuff, I don't have like an album or anything in the pipeline. I do. So about a year ago, I was actually looking to get a job. Just wanted to try it. There was an opportunity to work at Sony's sound department. And so I was teaching myself how to use the software Pro Tools. I never used it before. And so I don't know if you're familiar with just like taking recordings on your phone of all the sets that you do. I've done that for years, and I admit I don't listen to all of them. I listen to the good ones where I feel like there's something there, but there's like thousands of minutes of recordings that I just never really sat through. So as a test for myself, I taught myself how to use Pro Tools by just editing a bunch of those clips together, and I essentially made like this bootleg album thing, if you want to call it. It's definitely a bootleg. You can hear when I'm crossing in and out from one set to the next. It's very much an underground sounding thing. But I don't know, maybe I'll put that up, because I wanted to do a special sometime this year. As I mentioned, I work on Let's Make a Deal, and when that happens, I do still do stand-up, but I can't focus on like making an hour show. So my goal was at the end of the season, I was going to do it this year. And well, here we are. Can't really do performing stuff. So I don't know. Maybe I'll do something with that bootleg for now. But that's about it. And then friends of mine and I are working on an animated show as well. I have one friend's an animator. Another friend and I wrote scripts years ago that we never had anything to do with. And we just got a group of people together. One of our friends is like an actual TV writer, so he's gone through rewritten scripts. Another friend is an animator. Another friend is an editor and a musician, so he and I will probably do the theme song together. We actually did the theme song to my wife's podcast. I wrote the lyrics and sang the song, and he kind of composed the music. So we have a couple little things in the pipeline. It's fun.
Can you sing a few bars of your wife's song?
Oh, sure. Okay. Here we go. All right, here we go. The show's called the Learn Smarter Podcast. All right, here we go. You want to learn faster, but sometimes working harder is just not the answer. You have to learn smarter. The Educational Therapy Podcast. And then there's like a doorbell ring, or the school bell ring at the end. Ding.
Cool.
Yeah.
So she's in the education field?
Yes. My wife was a teacher. She's a preschool teacher for many years. And then about 4 years ago, maybe 5, she finished her special education master's program at CSUN, California State Northridge. and she has a special education degree in educational therapy. And what that means is that she works one-on-one with students with really severe learning profiles, a lot of ADHD, a lot of kids who need different tools to help them succeed in the classroom. And yeah, that's been her business for about 4 years. She's doing really well. She has a podcast, and it's actually like, it's fun to see someone's podcast that isn't about nonsense, because I'm a comedian, and so all mine have been either about TV shows or sports or whatever. And to hear, like, when I listen to her actually like have constructive things in her podcast, and I'm like, where's your conspiracy theory? Where is your like, where are the things that I like to talk about on podcasts? So, it's fun. But yeah, I'm really proud of her. She's doing really well.
And you said in the green room, you're thinking about coming back and doing a podcast again. What will be the premise of your upcoming podcast?
So I've been working with there's a couple that I want to do. I've been working with a friend, but we've had different issues about being able to just get it done. But I've been working with a friend about doing a podcast where we break down every episode of Star Trek Deep Space Nine, because it's just a fun show. My wife Rachel is a Star Trek fan. That's one reason why we got married. She actually knew at the time that I hosted a Star Trek themed podcast, and I told her that. We met online, and I told her that I had to go because I had to host the show. And when I told her it was about Star Trek, she gave me her phone number. So that's fun how that works. But she doesn't like Deep Space Nine. She hates that one. And so I specifically did this podcast to try to get her to watch it. That's really what it was.
How sweet. That's special.
And then I've had a couple ideas with other friends. It's more about, I'll be perfectly honest, maintaining my mental health and sanity has not been the easiest thing, as we've all been locked down. And so I admit that I come and go with like, can I do a daily show? Can I do a weekly show? I don't know. Power to you for being able to do it. I really appreciate it. I don't know. I have to have, I think, more of a clear head to be able to commit on a weekly basis, something like that. But we'll see.
Yeah, this is the only thing that's getting me through the pandemic, if you want to know the truth. Like I look up to slugs, and then I turn on my computer, turn on the charm, and then I go back to my bed and cry myself to sleep. It's really hard. This is the hardest. We did not get a manual for this. No.
But I have to say, hearing that description, you are a comedian, no doubt about it. So there's that.
Thank you. So I want to tell you about me going.
Yeah, I would love to learn about Linda. Absolutely.
I want to tell you about me going to The Price is Right. Will I get you in trouble for mentioning the story about? Okay.
No, not at all.
So I wanted to be a contestant. So I dressed up like some character on TV in the 70s. I can't think of her name. She wore big robes, and she was on the John Ritter show as the landlady's wife.
Oh, yes. Okay. Yeah. On Three's Company.
There you go.
Yes.
So I dressed up like her, and all the people there with the company, they knew who I was, and I didn't have to tell them. And so you go through a litany of booths where you get told, you get programmed, how you're going to act, blah, blah, blah. And it's so hilarious because at every stage along the way, before you sit down in your seat, they're like, do not trigger Wayne Brady. Am I allowed to say this?
I didn't know that you could. Okay.
So we're like, as a comedian, now I want to trigger Wayne Brady because I'm told not to, but I'm a good girl. So I sat down and they started rolling the camera, and we got told, look, if you win a paper clip, do not bitch about it. Don't ask to trade it for, a bigger paper clip. That's what you get. Do not piss off Wayne Brady. So they have a guy come down as a contestant, and he wins some, tchotchke, and he's not happy with it. And so he does the unthinkable, and he says, could I, something else. I think he wanted more money. He won money, and he wanted more money, some stupid thing. Mm-hmm. And so Wayne Brady says, well, y'all know that the hell that's not going to happen. Cut. And they had Wayne had to be taken out and sizzled off with a fire hose. A second, he's all zen, and then we redid the thing. It's so funny.
Hilarious. Well, it's funny, man. Like it's sometimes, yeah, sometimes the contestants can kind of talk themselves into it too. Like, let's be honest here. That guy did the one thing he was told not to do.
That's
And
right.
Wayne's a comedian at the end. So like if you make him mad, he'll tear you down. Like that's kind of what we do. That's, don't piss
Like
us off. We're
heckling.
trying to get a show done, guy,
Yeah. It just cracked me up so bad. He was like, we all know the hell that ain't gonna happen.
Right.
Like, they didn't tell you back there 17 times not to do that.
I'm proud of Wayne for standing up for himself. Good for him.
It was so funny. You should have seen the audience.
That's awesome. I love that.
What are some fun things that have happened around Let's Make a Deal? I got it for decades. It's been my favorite show.
Really? Okay. Well, super cool. I would say the coolest thing that I got to do, again, I'm a big Star Trek fan, and CBS is the same network. We're owned by the same people. So we got to do a special Star Trek episode last season because we were trying to sell subscriptions to the All Access platform, which is where all the shows are. And so I got to meet one of the actors, and we got to put together a whole themed episode for this. It was super fun, super cool. Another thing that was fun, my mom came to visit me last summer. And so I got to take her to the show. I got to take her to the set, meet people. I didn't get a chance to meet Wayne because we were shooting, so he is busy. But I got to introduce her to my bosses and my coworkers and show her the set. And that was a lot of fun because she had never seen me at work before like that. My mom had seen me perform stand-up, but she'd never seen me on a TV stage like that. So that was really a lot of fun. Yeah.
Isn't Wayne Brady is so multi-talented. I can't.
Oh, yeah.
In that show where he does improv.
Mm-hmm.
Holy
Well, it's funny. I would almost honestly say, like, Let's Make a Deal it's almost like another improv show for him because so many of the segments, so many of the games, he has to think of something on his feet. He has to sing a song like he makes up. So a lot of those same improv skills are definitely put to use on the show. And I think that's what makes it special. You're essentially watching another Wayne Brady hour. It's great.
And the sidekick, the announcer.
Oh, yeah.
He wasn't funny to begin with. And now he's on the improv show with Wayne.
Oh, yeah. Jonathan, he's great. Like, I have to say, when he cuts in on a line, sometimes he wakes Wayne crack so hard that they have to do the shot again. So he's very much come into his own. And I remember back in the day, he used to be on a Comedy Central show that I watched religiously called Strip Mall. I thought it was like the funniest show. And he was on it. And so it's one of those things where you're like, oh, I watched you on TV and now you get to work together. So that's super cool for me.
Yeah, I get a real kick out of him because he has really come into his own as a funny man.
Absolutely. Yeah, Jonathan's great. Yeah. The whole crew is great. Kat, the musician, and Tiffany, the presenter, all four of them are super awesome. They really make a good team.
Did you ever get to meet Bob Barker?
I never did. That was a little bit beyond when I was there. And unfortunately, we don't shoot our show at the CBS TV Center in LA proper. We have our own stage out in the Valley. So unfortunately, I'm not around CBS that much, but that would be a real treat. That would have been a real treat.
Yeah. So what do you want to say to people how to get through the rest of the pandemic? None of us know how much longer our rings are going to be clipped and everything. So what are some funny ways of looking at being in purgatory from a Jewish perspective?
Well, I would have to say, I don't know, find something that you're passionate about. I know that sounds kind of lame. It sounds like a lame parent thing, but find something simple that you can do that you're just like to do. Like, I don't know. I like to write jokes. I like to sing jingles. I like to just be kind of silly. I've been able to tell myself this whole time, I'm one of the lucky ones. I've been able to work. I'm married, so I have some company, but I don't have small children, so my life isn't completely upside down right now. I'm one of the lucky ones, so I don't really know how much I can actually tell someone without not having the perspective that, like, who the hell am I to tell people what to do? But I guess just do something that just makes you smile. because that's kind of what we're going to all need to just get to this, because it is going to be as difficult as this whole thing is, and as crazy as it's been, it's going to take something that simple. Just try to keep yourself happy in some respect. Find something that you love to do and just try to do it, even if it's simple and small.
I love that. So I like to ask this question because I think that people that don't know you, we're going after finding people that are going to fall in love with you and want to support your career.
Oh, so, thank you.
Yeah. So that's the whole point of this. Plus it gets me out of bed.
There you go.
So people want to know who you are. And you talked a little bit about cosplay and Star Wars, but like, what are some things that you do in the course of a week that when you're not trying to write or be funny or not in the home, like, do you go out to the mailbox and always talk to your neighbor on the left? Do you collect shoes? Do you like to return things that you buy? I do.
You love the returning. My wife's into returning things. She loves to do it.
I could do 5 hours on it.
I love that.
What are some funny things about Adam Feuerberg's life?
Oh, let's see. I love video games. That's kind of the thing where I'm like, I'm not growing up. I'm a child when it comes to that. Okay, it's gonna sound real. I'm basically a big child. Just whatever a 6-year-old or a 10-year-old is into, I'm also into that. So there was this thing, and it revealed a real impatient side of myself. I was into a TV show when I was a kid called The Real Ghostbusters. That was my favorite cartoon when I was a kid. It's an animated version of the movie, right? And I loved the toys when I was a little boy. I was super annoying about it. Again, I was the youngest one, so I got whatever I wanted. I was a super spoiled kid. And they announced that they were going to re-release those toys in the stores this summer because they were coming out with a new movie, remember? And of course, it got delayed to the next year like everything else. But they still came out with the toys. And I had pre-ordered them, and they didn't get delivered when I had ordered them. And so I had to get on the phone with customer service, and I was that asshole that, like, you hear people complain about people on customer service. I was not nice to this person. I was so impatient. I'm admitting to you that I'm ashamed about how I spoke to this person over toys. I'm 36 years old. I turned 36 yesterday, and I'm yelling at customer service who has nothing to do with it. They are the firing line. Like, they are just there to take the bullets. They have no skin in the game. They're there to get paid to get people to yell at them. And I was one of those people over toys. And I'm 36, and I check to make sure that's true every day because I don't know.
You are job security for that.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I'm a big child. I'll just put it that way.
Yeah, we've all had times when we've been the biggest dick at Walmart.
Oh, absolutely. And that, I'll admit to you, that was definitely me. That was definitely me about 4 or 5 weeks ago. Not proud of it, but that it happened. And the only way to get over it is to admit it, right?
Exactly. That's it. Just come out with it. We don't need Oprah for this. We can do this by ourselves. Thank you so much for coming on. Where can I tell people to follow you?
Oh, sure. So my Instagram and my Twitter handles are just my name, Adam Feuerberg, all lowercase, no periods or spaces or underscores. YouTube as well. Just search that, Adam Feuerberg, and you'll find me on YouTube. You'll find me on Facebook.
Do you have a Facebook fan page?
I do. It's just adam.feuerberg. So facebook.com/adam.feuerberg. And I guess YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and my website, adamfeuerberg.com, which is basically just going to send you to all the social medias anyway, because that's really what matters. So
wonderful. Thank you so much. I'll type all that stuff that you sent me earlier, plus what you just said.
Great.
And if there's any typos, I've got no ego. Why should I have an ego at this point?
No biggie.
Just holler. And then in a couple days, the pro version of this that has a jingle and credits and stuff comes out, and you can say, on a scale of 1 to 10, it's about a 5. No,
I can't wait to see it. It's going to be a 10, Linda. It's going to be a 10. I believe in you, and I believe in this show. So thank you.
I hired somebody who knows how to do it.
There you go. See, that's a professional move.
There you go. Thank you so much. I appreciate everything. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Have a good one. Thank you. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Everybody's talking.